Local presentation of Read About It is made possible in part by a grant from Cox Communications of Oklahoma City, proud sponsor of this effort to promote reading, education, and literacy in our community.
We have a special treat tonight. We have two authors with books about Christmas. The first one is Linda Allen. She'll be telling us about her book, Decking the Halls. Darla Zudi has a book for kids, Tales of a Christmas Angel. We also have Susie Beasley with Phil Talbert. Kids Corner will feature Ronna Davis. Coming up, Linda Allen.
Read About It, a public service program of the Metropolitan Library System. Your host, B.J. Williams.
Linda Allen has written a delightful book called Decking the Halls, and I am going to ask her today what inspired her to write a book about that.
In 1996, I went to the Hanging of the Green service at my church, and it's a very traditional service for many religions, and it's always a very special service for me. And in that particular service, they had, of course, the music and a lot of readings about different plants and how those plants were used in the Christmas season. And it had just little tidbits about the symbolism. And so after the service, I was kind of curious because I know plants all have their own biographies and histories. And I went to the library to find a book to tell me more about these stories. And I couldn't find one book. Instead, I found a lot of children's stories and a little bit of newspaper articles and magazine articles. So I started reading those in my spare time and became fascinated with the legends, the history and the folklore of all of these plants that we take for granted every year. We look at the poinsettia and we really don't wonder where it came from or why we chose it. And little by little, I began putting words on paper, and eventually it evolved into a book.
And a very charming book. I think it's something anybody would enjoy getting ready for the Christmas season. So you mentioned the poinsettia, but that's not the one that you start out with, is it?
No, I start out with the mistletoe. Originally, we were going to title the book Mistletoe Myths, but the publisher decided that was a bit of a mouthful to say. So we start out with the mistletoe because it is our state flower in Oklahoma. And many people don't realize that it has a very unusual history. It came from the pagan world and the Druids and was scorned by the church because of their association with the Druids. And then through the centuries, it became recognized as a very special plant. And we use it as our state flower because it is one of those plants that remained green during the wintertime. And for early settlers, that was very important. It gave them some greenery to use in weddings and funerals. And eventually it was suggested, because of its sturdiness and hardiness in the winter, to use that as the state flower to represent the hardiness of the pioneers.
But the kissing under the mistletoe is actually something that began long before it was used in Christmas celebrations.
Yes. And that tradition is that the gentleman can kiss the lady on the cheek for every time there's a white berry. And after all the white berries are gone, that's when the kissing is supposed to end.
Right. Most of us don't worry about that anymore, do we?
No.
Now, you said you were doing just casual research and then decided to put it into a book. Once you made the decision, this is really a book, then did you go back and do more research?
Yes, I did. I searched on the internet, of course. That's always a primary research vehicle now, as well as spending a lot of time in the library. And then I think sometimes when you start on a project like this, things just come to you kind of magically, because I'd be working on something and all of a sudden I would find newspaper articles or magazine articles that fit what I was writing on. I also had several good friends who knew what I was doing and didn't think it was too weird. And they would send me articles or suggest maybe that I do cinnamon, which was a plant I hadn't thought about, and peppermint.
Yeah, I would never have considered putting peppermint or cinnamon in there, but I found some of the legends in there very interesting. And I was intrigued that you include not just the ones that pertain specifically to Christianity, but what are some of the stories that the people who used them before they got sort of accreted onto our celebration?
Right. There are three things that are kind of passions in my life. One, of course, is language. Another is studying other people's cultures, and that's part of what I do professionally. And their stories and legends and what makes their culture special. And then, of course, plants. And so with this book, I was able to tie all three of those together.
Yes, and I think you did a very good job with it.
Thank you.
I was intrigued also with the poinsettia because I guess I'd assumed it had always been around, but since it's a New World plant,
Right.
we had to wait a while before we put it in our churches.
Yes, actually it came from Mexico, originally in the area of Tasco, and has several Mexican legends that go with it. One is a love story, one is a story about battle, and then one that everybody's pretty much familiar with is the little girl who wants to go to the Christmas Eve service and she has nothing to put on the altar. And because she's crying and very, very sad, an angel comes to her and changes some weeds that she has gathered into the poinsettia, and that's why it's called the Holy Flower, or night, Christmas flower of the Holy Night.
And brought to us by one of our ambassadors.
Yes.
I knew there was a reason to send ambassadors
Yes.
to different
Yes.
places. Now, in your book, you said that he grew them in his hothouse
Yes.
when he got back. Do they have to be grown in a hothouse in the U.S.? Or?
Yes, because of the climate. In some of the warmer regions, I assume in California, they could be grown outside. But they're very sensitive to cold weather. And when you buy them right now in Oklahoma and you take them out from the store to your car, you need to shelter them in some type of protective covering because they're very sensitive.
You don't want to take them out when we're having a sleet storm.
No, not at all.
Okay. But the mistletoe is okay.
That's fine. In fact, driving in today, I saw a tree just loaded with mistletoe, so it's very hardy.
Now, is mistletoe something that actually will damage your tree? I mean, should you be concerned if you've got trees in your yard with mistletoe in them?
Some people are and some people are not. It is a parasite, and I don't know that it does any specific damage to the tree.
It's the kind of parasite, I guess, that you don't mind having around.
Right, right.
So, but be careful if you pick your own mistletoe
Exactly.
for Christmas. Now, did you aim this book for adults, or is it something for children, or just for a general audience?
It could be adapted for children, but it was aimed for adults. Because there were so many legends already written for children, I decided that there was probably an adult audience, other people like me who had a curiosity about this. So it is more for adults.
Who wondered why we have a hanging of the greens service, and why your wreath should have some kind of greenery around it.
Right. And in marketing and promoting the book this year, I've met a lot of people who are doing similar type work. They're collecting legends of other plants. I met a gentleman in Virginia who does a lot of sculpture from wood, and he collects the history of whatever tree that he's cut down. Of course, that's a very historical part of the country, and so he includes the history with that tree. So a lot of people are collecting these plant legends now because that ties us to the past and gives us kind of a legacy of where we've been.
Right. I noticed that you included the Yule log in that, and that is something that I have encountered only in books, reading about bringing in the Yule log, and never, well, I'm trying to think where in West Texas one would find a fireplace big enough for a Yule log.
Because tradition says you have to have a very big fireplace to accommodate this. This Yule log is supposed to burn the entire 12 days of Christmas. So that's not a tradition that's very popular in the United States, but with the resurgence of fireplaces, I think it's one that could be adapted easily to our Christmas Day traditions.
Right. Well, you could keep something burning for 12 days
yes.
anyway. I was contemplating, because when you said that they often included the roots, you're talking about
Yes,
a tree.
yes, a very
Not-
big tree.
Not just a little 12-inch log. Okay.
And then they also wanted to keep a little bit to start the fire for the next year, and they even saved the ashes and reused those in the garden and in the orchard as well.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you very much for being with us today, Linda.
Thank you, it's been a pleasure.
We've had with us today Linda Allen. She's been telling us about her book, Decking the Halls. It's available at your library and your favorite bookstore. Coming up, we have Kids Corner, and Ronna Davis has a book just for our young readers. Ronna, what have you brought for us tonight?
I brought a book that intrigued me because of the kind of mock pictures on the cover. It's called The Fabulous Fantoras. This happens to be book 2. It's subtitled Family Photographs, and it falls into the what do I recommend to the child who's interested in Harry Potter books, but they're all checked out of the library category.
which happens regularly.
Right, which is not to imply that this is any less than Harry Potter. It's just different. I mean, it really is totally different, except that it has to do with people who each have a family consisting of members of the family who have special powers, which is always very intriguing to kids since they like to fantasize about that kind of thing.
Right. You were telling me earlier about some of the powers. The one that frankly intrigues me is the vegetarian vampire.
Yes, and I never really figured out what she did with her vampirism unless she kind of, well, I don't know.
Maybe she.
I don't even want to speculate.
Right.
But she did eat a lot of vegetables, and she is the romantic of the family. She falls in love with this very distinguished Italian werewolf, and from a very aristocratic family named the Lupinos. And so throughout the book, she's kind of flitting through the book and you know, wearing lace and just talking about her impending marriage. And at the end, fortunately, she does get married to this vampire.
Oh, good.
And also there are other characters as well that I liked. I think my favorite character was Bianca, the girl who can turn inanimate objects into actual beings of some kind. There's a little story in there about how she goes to the public pool and she takes her bath toys with her, and the bath toys turn into animals and clowns and what have you, and generally they kind of shake up the populace over there in the pool, but she has fun.
And you told me this was told from the viewpoint of the family cat.
Yes, and I think he's really my favorite character because he's very articulate, and he has this attitude that this is my family, and I really want to show them in their best light, and also he has a sense of who he is. He is Ozymandias, the teller of tales.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Ronna, for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
And remember, you can find this book, The Fabulous Fantoras, and many others at your local library and your favorite bookstore. With me now is Darla Zudi, who has written Tales of a Christmas Angel, and it's a delightful book for young people and actually anybody who likes cats and animals. And Darla, I'm going to ask you my typical question, which is, what inspired you to write this book?
Well, I love cats. I love children, first and foremost. And then I've been in the legal business for about 15 years, so if you combine all those factors, you get, I guess that's how I came up with the idea.
Well, you have a couple of delightful detectives. This is part of a series of cat detectives, and Captain Spunky and Little One. I've been very impressed with their initiative and their ability to improvise.
Well, Captain Spunky is actually my cat that lives with me, and so does Little One. And the characters are a lot of fun, and what I like about the characters are that they use their thinking processes. They don't use, witchcraft or sorcery, anything like that. They have to actually think to solve their problems a lot like you have to do in real life.
Well, I thought they were particularly good at solving, how are we going to ski when our mom and dad didn't rent any skis for us?
Yeah, rulers came in handy in the closet, so they do improvise quite a bit. And actually in the story also they help a little red cardinal, which kind of is a far-fetched thing for cats. They really don't really help birds. They kind of
play with them.
Yeah.
Well, I was impressed with the kindness of the bears too. Being woken up from hibernation, I would be tempted to have a small, hairy little snack. But
they like to play in the snow. So the little bear named Kimmy, she's darling. She likes to play, and she likes to, like I do, sled down the mountain and Bradley, and they're actually named after my sister-in-law and my brother,
Oh.
Kim and Brad. All my characters are named after people that I know because I like to. I can already have the character in mind when I write, and so it makes it really easy, and they're a lot of fun also to improvise with.
Right. So Kim and Brad, if I meet them, I'll be surprised if they don't have hairy ears and all that, but otherwise they'll be pretty much Kim and Brad. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, now with this idea, it sort of started out with Mom and Dad and Noah, I believe is the human brother, the way they put it, decide to go skiing for Christmas. And I take it this is something that you have done or have wanted to do and thought this was a great place to put Captain Spunky and little one.
Yeah, actually, I don't know that nowadays I could ski very well because I'm a little more chicken than I used to be as I've gotten older. But I do love Colorado, and it's set in Colorado, and the mountains there and the snow. I mean, just a perfect setting for Christmas. You know, the trees laden with the snow, and and we get a Christmas tree that we bring into the condominium that we've rented, and we also get an angel, Christina, that we put on top of the tree, and that's who wakes up after the humans go to bed. Christina wakes up and she surprises the two cats, and throughout the story she helps subtly them as kind of like a guardian angel as they go through solving the problem of this guy named Dastardly Don, who is this mean trapper in the mountains of Colorado. And they want to help him change his ways to be kind to animals. And so
I think they did a pretty good job of that. Do you have, are there things that you have to keep in mind when you're writing for young people? Now, this is a book written for ages 7 and up to be able to read themselves. Do you have to consciously limit your vocabulary?
a little, just only because I'm used to the legal writing in briefs and stuff. But I think my thought processes are about that age. I get along with kids that age very well. And something I always focus on with my writing is I try to establish good moral values and good, like, compassion and good things that kids can grow to learn to want to be, you know.
Yeah, you're telling a good story that, and I think any good story has, there's a moral under it or a lesson for life.
But I try to do
underlying
it subtly
in one
so
way.
it doesn't, like, kill the kids with, you know, they, oh gosh, you know, another story.
Right.
They're trying to learn something. So I try to do it real subtle.
Yeah. Well, wasn't
So it's fun.
Wasn't it one of the Hollywood muggles who said if you want to send a message, get a telegram. So you want to get the kids entertained because they're going to be turned out. Oh, here comes another.
Yeah,
one of
so you got to
those.
be careful.
Yeah. Well, what other things have you gotten for Captain Spunky? And I shouldn't say this, but they do get into some problems here. Captain Spunky and Little One, you've thrown them into other problems too, haven't you?
Yes, actually, my next book comes out in March. It's called Finding Your Dream, and it's when Captain Spunky first meets Little One. And then after that is a new release every 3 months, and it's a series, a cat detective series. And they travel the world. The concept is to travel the globe, solving problems using good sound moral values, and that's the concept of the series.
And your brain.
Yes,
Yes, as you
definitely.
mentioned.
Thinking processes.
Yeah, they have to think about it. This is the problem. How can I solve it?
Study, you know.
And also a certain amount of reliance on friends. You can't do it alone.
No.
Who can I get to help me? Who are my friends? And that sort
And
of
an
thing.
emphasis on family. That family's important.
Now, are Christina and Noah and hubby going to get to play a larger role? Are they going to be roped in on these adventures?
Yeah, they're always in, like in A Tale of the Wild West, there's a wolf and his name is Mr. Nose, which is, Noah's going to kill me for saying that, but that's kind of what I call him sometimes. But, and he's a wolf, and sometimes I incorporate him in, sometimes we don't play a very big role at all, you know, because obviously it's about cats,
Right.
but we're in there occasionally. And I always mention my husband.
Lucky guy.
I'm lucky too.
Right. Well, where do you get your ideas for the kinds of adventures that you throw them into? Obviously, you're going around the world, but how do you come up with, this is the problem in this one?
Well, Usually it involves, like if I start studying about a certain region, like now I'm doing the Easter Bunny, and I found out the Easter Bunny originates out of Ireland. And so when I started studying that and the folklore associated with the Easter Bunny, then that's how I came up with an idea. And there's no way I'm going to tell that storyline because
no.
it is such a cool storyline. But that's how studying usually is how I come up with a fun, I guess that's it. Or just out of my head.
Well, like in Colorado, there are animals, and that certainly at one time was a prime place for trapping. So I could see how that would happen. So.
I don't know. I guess that one just came from that I don't like being mean to animals. And, you know, I love little deers, and I don't like hunting and things like that. So,
Right.
but I understand some people like to do it. But
Yeah.
Not me.
Okay.
Not me for Kimmy Bear, poor thing.
No, I would hate to think of Kimmy Bear as becoming a rug one day. That would be sad.
Yes, it would.
Well, I want to thank you very much for being with us here today.
Thank you for
Darla.
inviting me, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. And remember, Darla Zudi's book, Tales of a Christmas Angel, can be found at your library and your local bookstore. And be sure and look out for the next ones. The next one will be out in March, so keep an eye open for it. Coming up next, I'll be telling you all about some books that I think you will enjoy very much. Even if it's too late for Christmas shopping, you may have somebody on your list who wants something interesting. And this first one is for those who sew, particularly those who do quilts. It's called Artful Applique, The Easy Way. It's by Jane Townswick. Now, a tremendous number of people do quilts today, but most of them do what is called piecework. And most of the shows that you see, I think there are at least 2 series on TV on quilting, and most of them involve how to do piecework. There are some quilts that have been made with applique, and this book is going to help you do it yourself. Townswick, the author, has simplified techniques for preparing, marking, assembling, and stitching applique. Now, in this book, there are detailed step-by-step instructions for 16 different 9-inch blocks that are filled with flowers, birds, leaves, wreaths, and vines. New methods for appliquing tricky points and curves, narrow stems and vines, and even the tiniest pieces will soon have you working like a pro. Now, the instructions in this book are very clear. The color photographs demonstrating all of the techniques are excellent. You can even see the thread. They did a really good job on photographing this. And the chapter that shows the variety of hand appliqued quilts is enough to inspire you for the next 30 or 40 years. If you quilt or know somebody who quilts, I think this is a book that you would find very, very interesting. Now, the next book is for those of you who are interested in family genealogy, specifically anybody who has ancestry from the British Isles. The title is Ancestral Trails, The Complete Guide to British Genealogy and Family History. It is by Mark D. Herber, and it was written in association with the Society of Genealogists from London. It also was a winner of the Library Association's McColvin Medal for Outstanding Reference Work. The book begins with basic information on genealogical research, with tips on gathering family information, organizing your research material, and the general problems encountered by researchers. Then it gets into the maze, and it is a maze of British archives. Not only birth, marriage, and death records, there are wills, parish registers, civil and ecclesiastical court records, poll books, and property records. So this book will guide you through using all of this information and set you on the path to creating your own family history, or I should say researching your own family history. Very briefly, the next book is The Garden Floor from Gravel Gardens to Chamomile Lawns by Nigel Colburn. Colburn is a worldwide expert. This is an ideal book for a gardener who is sitting out the cold winter months, itching to get back into the garden. Delicious photographs and really sumptuous ideas for dramatically changing your garden. All 3 of these books can be found at your library and your favorite bookstore. Coming up next, we have the New York Times bestseller list. We'll start out with hardback fiction. Number 10 on that list is Winter's Heart by Robert Jordan, The Bear and the Dragon by Tom Clancy, Code to Zero by Ken Follett, Prometheus Deception by Robert Ludlum, Prodigal Summer by Barbara Kingsolver, Journey by Danielle Steele, The Last Precinct by Patricia Cornwell, Deck the Halls by Mary Higgins Clark and Carol Higgins Clark. Number 2 is Roses Are Red by James Patterson, and number 1 is The Mark by Tim LaHaye and Jerry Jenkins. On the nonfiction hardcover list, number 10 is The Greatest Generation by Tom Brokaw, Joe DiMaggio, The Hero's Life by Richard Ben Kramer, An Invitation to the White House by Hillary Rodham Clinton, Flags of Our Fathers by James Bradley with Ron Powers, Maestro by Bob Woodward, Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom, Nothing Like It in the World by Stephen Ambrose, The Darwin Awards by Wendy Northcutt. Number 2 is Bill O'Reilly's The O'Reilly Factor, and number 1 is The Beatles Anthology by The Beatles. On the children's list, number 10 is World Almanac for Kids 2001, Rugrats in Paris, the movie, adapted by Dubowski and Dubowski, Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, adapted by Louise Gickow, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff for Teens by Richard Carlson, Holes by Louis Sekar, Life Strategies for Teens by Jay McGraw, Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul 3, compiled by Canfield, Hansen, and Kerberger, Chicken Soup for the Preteen Soul, compiled by Canfield, Hansen, and Dunlap. Number 2 is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. And number 1 is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, also by J.K. Rowling. Coming up next, we have Susie Beasley. I turned the tables on her and asked her about a book that she enjoyed reading, and I think you'll find this a big help when you've got kids on your hands. Susie, what have you brought for us tonight?
Well, I've brought for you the Sleepover Cookbook by Hallie Warshaw. This is a very unusual cookbook. Of course, the title Sleepover, it can be geared for organized groups like Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts. However, I think it's just geared for kids that want to have fun, boys and girls, and where they spend time at another friend's house on a weekend or during the holidays. And this is kind of an activity book for them to learn responsibility and to have fun learning how to cook. They have a lot of really easy recipes for them to prepare, and they always kind of make it fun. When I started looking for different books to read, I ran across this one, and I was interested because I think I'm a kid at heart, and I think being that way, I love to cook, and my kids love to cook, my husband loves to cook. I think this would be really good for young adults from about maybe age 8 until about 15 or so.
But still with an adult supervising, more or less, do you think?
Well, there can be some adult supervision, but basically the cookbook is geared for the kids, and it's written on their level. They are able to go to this cookbook, gather their supplies in the kitchen, and prepare them. They stress safety and they stress responsibility, but the kids themselves, they put the project together and they work as a team, and that's the whole really the crux of the Sleepover Cookbook, because you have a group of people that are working together with it.
Is this complete meals or is it just snacks?
Yes, there are snacks, and they are really kind of complete meals. They have spaghetti with spicy meatballs. They have tacos and tortillas. So you're not just doing the usual children's cookbook with the carrot sticks or the raisin or the peanut butter with your celery boats and that sort of thing, or even the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It goes beyond that. But it's really a good book for them.
Is it aimed for kids who know anything about cooking, or?
Well, it's aimed toward kids that don't know anything about cooking, because it basically gives them the groundwork for learning how to cook and learning how to maneuver in the kitchen. And it kind of gives them an idea of, well, you can go and prepare these for yourself. You know what you like. And this really is a good cookbook to introduce to kids who may be picky eaters, and you're preparing their food, but you don't know what their likes and dislikes snacks are. And that when they prepare it themselves, they get more enjoyment out of eating it.
And besides, you can say, I didn't touch it. You're the one who fixed it.
Some of the recipes in here, in fact, the snacks are banana chocolate drops, confetti taco salad, and of course homemade pizza. And you can imagine now that kids like to have pizza, but it really is a joy to have them make their own.
I'll bet. Well, tell us again the title and the author.
The title of the book is The Sleepover Cookbook by Hallie Warshaw, and it's available at the local library, and it's, probably at the local bookstore, and be a good stocking stuffer for the holidays.
Thanks, Susie.
Thank you.